And everybody, and welcome to a very special Smoke and Mirrors. We are under the philosopher's tree with guest once again. You know how we do, we get down. Today's episode is brought to you by Ears. Shout out to Ears. I don't think they've been getting enough recognition in the pandy. Ears, it's how your mask stays on. And now, here's the song. Sade is a lady who sings way better than this, and I wish I had thought of a song to sing before now, but I didn't, so here's a strong one. Welcome to Smoke and Mirrors, and now here they are, your invenerable hosts, Carlos Kareem Wyndham. Howdy, hey, everybody. Hope you're doing well. Warm bevy in hand. We'll discuss that in a second. Today is going to be fantastic. We are going to be here with author Lark Sontag. Going to bring her on in a second. If you don't know, then one of two things is true. You don't have brown children, or you don't love them enough, because you should know. And this is a tool that will help you love them even more. Her book that we'll be discussing. I hope you have a warm bevy. I am replenishing my fucks as ever, because I am still out. Hey! Howl's in the distance. I love it. I love it. How you doing, Bo? Good to see you, my friend, in the chitty chats. I'm watching. This is my favorite part, because right now I get to watch the guests looking at me and me looking at you. And she has to wonder whether she's really on a show, or this is just an insane, I don't know, some kind of art experiment, and I'm going to put it in a museum or something. I don't know. Hey, listen, coming up, there's a thing that you can do. Today is almost the last day to register. Get with me. I am co-presenting a live engagement. I do this very rarely for the public anymore. You know, public is a thing that you have to be prepared for, and I am. And so on April 1st, we will be, myself and my co-presenter, Teresa Logan, presenting Beyond DEI, confronting white affirmative action and anti-blackness in professional spaces. Because here's the thing, once white people know the steps to the dance, we have to change the steps. We just do. Otherwise, it's, you know, it will get Timberlaked. So in order to avoid that, at your workplace, come join us, and there is still time to register. And I'm saying at the top of the show today, because once we get into the chit chat, I want to stay there for a minute. Maybe we'll steep in it. We'll get some good tea out of it. Hey, this is Smoke and Mirrors, and there are so many ways that you can support us. Give us a like. Give us a like. You're supposed to like, right? Both of the places, YouTube and Facebook. Do the YouTube and Facebook things, please. Hey, Facebook people, share the show, please. I ask every time, and so few of you are doing it anymore. And I know the pandy's almost over. You want to go outside, it's spring, but when you share it, it does help, and it's absolutely free to do. It's just a button. Start a watch party if you want to. Be that nerd. If you really absolutely love it and you want to drop 5 on it, 3 ways to do that. Venmo at Carlos-Wyndham, Cash App at $, CK Wyndham, PayPal /me.CK Wyndham. And if you absolutely positively want to become a patron of the arts and Smoke and Mirrors, the way to do that is Patreon at Smoke and Mirrors CCB. That's for comedy, culture, and blackness. Smoke and Mirrors CCB, comedy, culture, and blackness. Hey, y'all. My bevy today, I decided to try the buttered coffee, the traditional coffee with butter, with cocoa butter and ghee instead of cream. Here's the thing. I'm trying to move toward a plant life again, and it's yummy. It's yum. I was surprised. I was surprised they got me. They got me. Last time I was a vegetarian, it was still like tofu sticks fried with ketchup. And so it's a new thing. It's a new day. It's quite delicious. It's almost creamy. I tried an oat latte. Let me say this. No. It tasted like a trick, honey. It tasted like someone was lying to my mouth, like I was being pranked, like I was being pranked on the swallow. I'm sorry, I forgot to smoke with y'all. My bad. I promise it's not because I was pre-gaming. I was pre-gaming. All right, our guest today is an author who is got a book, and we'll get to the book part. You know how we do. We chit chat. I already talked about the book at the beginning, and now I've smoked, and now it's time to introduce our guest. Hey, everybody! Welcome under the philosopher's tree, Lark Sontag. Welcome.
Am I on?
You are. This is it. It's really happening.
I feel like you are the show. Like, I feel like I'm just like a sidekick now. Now I feel like I just want to watch the show now.
Oh, I want a sidekick. I want a side. We have our imaginary producer. We have a real producer, Tracy. We have our imaginary line producer, Joshua. Joshua's right here. So if there are any mistakes, it's his fault. And it keeps me from having to be embarrassed when things go completely wrong, because it was Joshua's fault. Yes, I was in fact, Bo, prior to the time of getting here, pre-funkin', as you said, in the green room. So if the entrance was a little stumbly today, that's why. Joshua isn't for real. Oh my God. Fievel Young, who is a viewer who's been with us for some time. No, honey, there's no Joshua. There's no. Producer Tracy is real. Producer Tracy is very real.
Oh, so that wasn't even real.
Oh no, there's no Joshua. There's no Joshua. No, there's no Joshua. Joshua is real to me. Joshua's real to me. Joshua. If I ever get an intern, I will have to hire somebody named Joshua, just so that the Snuffleupagus moment is not so devastating to viewers, so that there is or the intern will be named Joshua. I will change their name. That will be part of the contract. Oh,
that's
look
part
at you.
of Los Angeles. I don't know where you are, but
Portland, actually.
You're in Portland. Okay.
I'm in Portland.
I'm originally
Producer
from Los
Tracy's
Angeles.
in Oakland. You're originally from Los Angeles. How long?
Yeah.
So where are you now?
I'm in New York.
What part of New York are you in?
Brooklyn.
Brooklyn. Okay, so you...
Yeah.
Is my brother in Brooklyn anymore? No, my brother's in Harlem now. No, he's in Brooklyn again. He's in Brooklyn again. Yes. Wow, Brooklyn. So you how big is your shoebox? Can you fit 3 shoes? 3 people in your apartment? Is that possible?
It's small. I had to say I was we were in the Woodstock area because of COVID. It's because it's just me being an Angelino, I was scared because you know how on the East Coast everything's really close together?
Yes.
Like people are really tight.
Very.
And they're really close. And then people started dying and I was like, I gotta get out of here. And I mean not like to be, it was horrible. I mean, because, it was
that's
horrible.
Just real. I mean, that's real. What are we talking about? Like, hey, look at that. There's outdoor morgues. It's time to go.
Yeah. So it was just very, it was very challenging, especially to a fourth generation Angelino. So it was really hard to like move, and then this kind of situation happens.
Right.
I got married. That's like what happened. That's how I ended up here. I got married again. Just so you know, I'm not like a traditional, like, I've been married several times, but this time it's going to work. Because number 4, it's going to work out this time. And that was like so weird because when I moved here, I thought it was going to be like LA, but just with weather.
Right.
And it's much different.
It's
much
very different.
it's really stressful here.
The rhythm and the rhythm and the beat and the vibe of the East Coast, which is where my family is from. That's where my brother is, right? Um, he moved back there. My father is from there. His family is from there. He tried to raise good suburban kids, and so now my brother's in Brooklyn, as
Yeah.
one does, and yeah, the rhythm, the vibe is it's tight, like you were talking about,
Hmm.
right? Like it's compact,
Yeah.
and it's all the time. They are not kidding. It's all the time, all the time,
It
all
is.
the time.
It is. And they're on
Um,
time all the time. Like they're
yeah,
on time. The thing is that we don't.
that's not
West
West
Coast
Coast.
people.
That's
No,
not
it's
West
it's
Coast.
like, oh, it starts at 9. That means 11, 12. Why are you like,
Right,
and you
right.
do that. You do that in New York, and apparently
Yeah.
think you're irresponsible. It's like,
To
it's
be at
not
a
that
meeting
serious.
prior to 9:15 at 9 o'clock is odd. Is
Yeah.
odd on the West Coast. It's less odd now because of Zooms, but even now, 5. You got 5 on it. You got 5 minutes. It's still not gonna just like crack off at it. Somebody's gonna be just sitting in a Zoom room waiting for somebody else. It's not popping at exact. It doesn't work that way out here.
Somebody from New York will be. They'll be like waiting. Well, where were you?
Yeah. The fuck happened? Why? What am I waiting out here? You got my ass outside in the
Why?
wind
Yeah,
for?
yeah,
Why?
yeah,
What'd
yeah.
you do to me?
Yeah,
Yeah.
why? Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
yeah, why? And you better have a reason too.
Yeah,
That is so rude.
yeah.
That is
It was
so not
okay because,
West
as I
Coast.
said, I'm from LA, so I'm a liar, so it's easy for me. It's just like I have no problem lying. That's not a thing. I mean, that's part of life.
The culture
But
of LA noir. So you said fourth generation?
yes,
What
my
part of?
family came from what part?
Yeah. Go
We're
ahead.
from South Central,
Okay.
um, the West Adams area. I
Uh
always say
huh.
West South Central because I want to be like I want to keep it real. I want people to think like we had things. We were middle class, so I don't want people to think like, oh yeah, you say South Central, but South Central is so big. It's not like in. That's the thing I realized in New York. I realized, oh, Brooklyn means black people. I didn't realize that. I didn't get it. Like I didn't get like, oh, Brooklyn's black. Oh, I didn't get because you're from LA. You don't think of you think Harlem. That's it. You don't think that
Right.
there are black
Right.
people
Right.
anywhere else. And plus two, LA is like less than 10% black, right?
Yeah.
And so you when you think black neighborhood in LA, it's nothing like black neighborhood on the East Coast.
Right.
So I when I give people this impression, I go, "Oh, I'm from South Central." I'm like, but every black neighborhood in LA is called South Central, and it's huge. Like
Right.
the way, like how big like New York metro area, including New Jersey, that would be the South Central is not a geographic
The
neighborhood.
drive. Yeah. Yeah. That's
Yeah,
it's,
yeah, yeah.
it's
You go
yeah.
to
It's
Crenshaw Boulevard, and it's like, you go from, the other side, the west side of South Central is Beverly Hills on the other side. And then you
see.
go the other side of South Central, you're on the other side of East LA. So it's huge. It just means black people live there. It doesn't really mean like, I'm literally, that's why I was shocked when I went to Brooklyn and it was like, oh, East New York. Oh, there are black people there. That we don't have like even like downtown. I finally figured out what it meant because in downtown LA we have no uptown. It's just called that because in movies when they say downtown
Mm.
they have a place with lots of buildings. I didn't know it designated a location. So like when I was taking train, they're like, take the train uptown. I'm like, what do you mean? I don't even know what that means. Like, what do you mean north and south? Okay, this is what I had, and this is how you tell where you are in LA. The Hollywood sign, and like, the mountains and maybe the beach. That's it. If
Right.
I don't know where the Hollywood sign is, I don't know where the hell I am. I don't need to because I'm in a car. So it's like, like that's what I always said. You have to be smarter on the East Coast. You can die because you don't know like the snow, like you don't dress for weather. Like I
Right.
was so used to wearing shorts and stuff, and like I didn't realize that scarves were for warmth. I thought they were just accessories.
Oh, it's not fashion. I mean, it is fashion. It is fashion, right? Survival, but make it fashion is
Yeah,
sort of
yeah,
the
yeah.
yeah. So you were okay. So you were five generations deep there, and you were there until when in Los Angeles?
Oh, that's a lot. Let's see here, like 2018,
Okay,
2018.
so this was really like okay. Let's go to the East Coast. Boom, the world fell apart. Let's get up to Woodstock.
Yeah, yeah,
Let's
I
get,
did
let's
that
get
to
away from
myself.
these
I think
people.
I think it was. I wonder if it was my fault. I'm like, did I should have not have moved? Everybody's like, you're
Right.
so LA. You should have never moved. This is what happens when you move. I'm like, I know. I did this. I caused COVID. If I had just stayed where I was.
Okay. I hope you did not visit a bat cave before traveling across the coast. That would have done it. And so
Yeah,
you
yeah.
when you were up in Woodstock, where were you there? That's like farmland, isn't it?
It's farmland, but it's just kind of like they have bookstores there. I mean, it's just like a city. I mean, a city with coffee stores. It's like Brooklyn or Los Feliz, but like more spread out and less young people.
Okay.
Yeah. I keep thinking I'm young, but I'm not really that young.
Right,
So,
right, right.
yeah, yeah. Right on that edge of like, in the right lighting, I could be young. Like right now, I might be young,
I
but maybe in the daylight.
yeah, I literally missed that window. I remember the last time I was with some friends and I had said, "Yeah, no, no, no. If I shaved my beard, you could mistake me for 30." And they was like, "No, no, 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 no. I don't know what you think this is, but no, that is not true. That is
Yeah,
not true."
yeah, yeah.
Is there a is there a pals? Is there a pals? What were your bookstores of choice?
Um, my bookstore. You know what? I don't. It's like this coffee L's. It's like L's and something else. Forgot what it was called. It's like a beer type thing. It has beer and coffee in it. And it's a bookstore, and I
Ooh,
feel horrible now. I can't remember the name of it.
beer and coffee, and it's a bookstore. I like that. That's kind of
Yeah,
sexy.
that's why it's like great. That's what I was like. I was just like, there's a lot of those on the East Coast. There was one in DC because I was working in DC for a moment too, and I can't remember the name of the bookstore. I know that sounds horrible. I can only remember Los Angeles stuff. I can't remember anything else. I'm bad. This is horrible. I'm just like, I don't know.
I remember
I went
L.A.
there. It had bar there. And it had beer. And it had books. So I thought that was cool.
Yeah, that's cool
And
as shit.
that's yeah. Well, that's sad. I know. I know. I can barely remember my name. So
Well, listen, I think people underestimate the not underestimate. I think I wonder what people think about very often the eccentricities and the picadillos of writers. I don't know that they get it. And I don't know that it's gotten because I don't know that people understand what the creative process is
yeah.
of writing because it's not a jam band. What when you begin the process of writing? Do you write? Are you like a daily writer? Do you write
I
when
write daily.
inspired?
I've written like, and I know this sounds outrageous, but I've written 4 million words since January.
Wow,
So I
wow.
write a lot. I write. I don't even do like my job. Like I have like a day gig,
Right,
and
right.
owing to COVID, I don't ever do it. I just write all the time. No one, but the thing is, no one knows what I'm doing, which is great. I've always had jobs where no one knew exactly what I was doing, and I'm relatively friendly. So people a lot of times are just happy because they're like, "You're so nice, Lark," and I'm like, "Yeah." Just, and you can do so much. You can do so actually. Like, can you do so much or so little just being nice? Because people like they really aren't used to nice people.
Right.
So, and I'm not. It's not like I mean I'm genuinely nice, but I'm also I do what I need to do. You know what I mean? Because I care
Listen,
about writing more than I care about all this other stuff.
listen. Well, right. I mean, that's the thing about the life of an artist is that I think that people take. I don't know if they do take for granted or do or don't understand, but the reality that if the opportunity to create your art is in front of you, That's the thing that's going to get primacy. Nothing else is going to
Yeah.
happen, right? You're going to. That's what's going to happen. If somebody
Yeah.
pulled up behind you with a truckload of money, saying, "Hey, listen, what we need is 4 or 5 books. You want to work it out for us?" Is there anything that would keep you at a day job?
No. I mean literally like right now. I mean, I have my children's book that I do, but I mean I'm also working on adult books. I also have like a magazine that I work on. And the thing is that for me, like, that's kind of like been my priority. I had a newspaper I had at one point. This is totally way off subject. I try to stay in character because
There's no subject. There's no subject.
I have different writing characters. So I have like my hi, I'm a children's book author. And I think it's legit. Like I'm a, it's
We're here. Let's do.
legit
Wait. Bring it back. Bring it back. Bring it back. Bring it back. I want people to see it. I want people to see it. Okay. Look at this.
yeah.
It's legit. It's got a hardcover. Okay. We're gonna get all up in it. All right. It's
Yeah.
real. So we ain't bullshit up here. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you were saying.
No, but I mean, I have, I do, I was like, I do adult writing. I do a I write about political things.
Yeah.
I promote other people's work. Like I do poetry. Like I publish other people's poems, but I also pay them. Like I'm not like, I've been the people like I've been like, okay, if you have a magazine or you have a publishing thing, you pay people for what they do. You pay for their art. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
not, you know, it's I get poets, like I meet people. I try to create vehicles for people. So like I'll see somebody and they're like on Facebook and maybe they've written some great poem or they've written some great essay or like rant on some political thing. I'll be like, can I have that? I'll pay you. And they're like, what? I was like, yeah, 'cause you know why? Because also too, I want people to know, like, number one, what you do is worth it. It's worth money. And also what you do is valuable and I respect it and I view it as a valuable thing. And I just want to get people, like I always feel like in a way it's like I've been blessed in the way. I'll tell you an interesting story. The reason why I'm gonna tell you, Maxine Waters,
Indeed.
she's like
Auntie
totally
Maxine.
legit.
Auntie
Yeah,
Maxine.
Maxine. She's legit. Because the thing is that I'm very leftist, and people kind of always want. You might be a politician. Sometimes people are like, "Oh, they're all pieces of crap." I'll tell you the greatest story. As being a fourth generation Angelino, they keep taking our houses. Like the 10 freeway took our house, like in West Adams. Like now, like that property is worth like millions of dollars. You can look at up Bruce Beach in Manhattan Beach. That was black people's property. The 105 freeway that goes to the airport, a lot of black people's houses got taken. My grandfather's, my great grandfather's bar was taken. And he wouldn't sell. He wouldn't sell. He's like, no, like you need this. They wanted to give him like some really crappy amount, and he
What
was
was the
just
name
like,
of the bar?
no.
You remember?
Yeah. So he went to Maxine Waters, and Maxine Waters is not in his district. It's not his person, not at all. And he went to her and said, they're just trying to make me move, and she helped him negotiate a large sum of money. I'm not going to say what it was because that's kind of vulgar, but that money my great grandfather left me, and I used that money to start a newspaper. To like I did a weekly newspaper where I actually paid people. I started lots of different projects, and I never had to like depend like a job. I mean, I have, but I have, you know what I mean? Because I always had like a cushion. But I have white people cushion money. I got somebody to leave me some money.
Listen, that's some real shit. That's some real shit. That matters.
If I hadn't had that, I was like, I wouldn't have been able to do that. But I mean, it's just great. Like I forgot my whole point of what I was saying, but Maxine Waters got me that money, and I kind of like paid it forward. I didn't want to be like that person, like, well, I'm gonna go and I'm gonna try to like be a. I want to do art, and I did art with that. I mean, my great grandfather, he had a bar, he had singers there, he had entertainers there. He was always a platform for people. And so for me, I always wanted to be a platform. I mean, I think the one thing that was great is that with my book, my publisher, I'm so used to doing stuff for other people. So it was really kind of cool when she was like, "Oh my gosh, like you want to talk to me?" Which I thought was like weird. I'm like, you have like a whole publishing company, but she was just like, "Oh, you want to talk to me? And like you want to like, you want me to publish your book?" And I was just kind of like, I don't know how easy you think it is to get a book published, but I mean a legit book. It looks nice. Like I
Yeah,
mean this
right,
book looks
right,
nice.
right.
You can get anybody can go to print and demand and get like some piece of crap done, but it's not,
Yeah, no, this is
not
not
like
this
a
is not this is
book
not
with
Amazon self-published.
yeah,
This is a book. This is a
yeah,
book.
yeah. It's just like, and so I was just like, especially too with children's books, like the book that I did,
Yeah.
um, you know, one of my fields was early childhood education. And I know it's very bizarre. I have many different hats that I wear.
That's not
For
bizarre.
Black children.
That's an act of blackness and black womanhood. That is not bizarre.
Yeah,
That is not
yes,
bizarre. There's not a black woman who ain't had at least 8 different kind of jobs.
yes. I'm like that. And so the thing that was, for a lot of many black children's books, if you're not training black children to take tests, to submit to white supremacy, they don't want your book. It's like, well, how can I use your book to, teach to the test? Or how can it close the gap? And I said, I don't talk in the whole, we call it achievement gap. I don't believe in that narrative because it's
Yeah.
racist, it's eugenics. And I'm not participating in that, even just get my book published. I'm not participating in that. So I'm like, if you expect my book to be like, well, I'm going to help your kids. If you think I'm even going to market my book that way, where I'm like, oh, it'll help your kids to like, take the test and so they can achieve and get a job. Screw a job. I don't like job. I don't like working 9 to 5 jobs. If I am literally I do not like working. I always tell people like, oh, you gotta get a job. I don't like working. And I don't want to help you get a job. I want to help you be creative. I want to help you do art. I want you to be like, think about COVID and just what the last years have shown us. All these people with these safe BS jobs, and they lost their job. They could have been doing what they wanted to do. They could have been, you want to be an exotic dancer, you could have done that. You want to be a writer, you could have done that. You want to be an actor, you want to be a comedian, you could have done all of that. And maybe you would have made it, maybe not. But guess what? You didn't do that because you wanted to be safe, and you don't even have a job now. You don't have. I knew teachers who lost their job. I knew people who were living in their car. I knew all this stuff. And now it's like, at least if you had tried, you would have been like, well, I tried, I did it. But it's like, now you're never going to know. You're never going to know. And also, even if you don't succeed, think about, and I don't want this to happen to me, but think about Zora Neale Hurston. I mean, when she was alive, nobody cared. But after she died, they were like, oh, shit, she's a shit. Let me, I don't know if I can curse here, but.
Right. Oh, curse away. Curse it. Curse it. Curse it. Curse it.
Yeah. But it's like, it's an archive. Like, your art keeps you alive. Like when not like I want to live forever, but your art and what you do, it matters. People reference that. It's a blueprint. It's a map, and that's, even with this book, it's, every child should know it's a map. I tell people like, oh, what kind of book is it? I'm like, it's a map. It doesn't tell you where to go. It just gives you a guide to where you could go if you wanted to go there. And I think that's one of the challenging things, like, with children's books, they really want, how can I say this? It's very bizarre because I had a real problem with Dr. Seuss because I said he's clearly a caricature of a black man, and I wrote about this.
Oh, we talking about the Cat in the Hat.
Yeah. Cat in the Hat.
Yeah.
I said the cat is a black man, and he's like, he is mocking a black man. And I said, I'll tell you something. And I broke it down to people because the thing is that I know like all these tricky things like these white supremacists do. See, Dr. Seuss was like one of those white guys that like rap music, right? But instead of rap music, it was jazz. He was one of those dudes. So like, you know what I mean? Like, do you know like that white guy that's like
Yeah.
fetishes black
Oh,
culture?
listen,
He,
we talking that Chet Hanks kind of white guy, white boy
yes,
summer white guy.
yes. That is who Dr. Seuss was. People need to understand that so they can understand what I mean. They're like, well, he wasn't racist. Okay, but see, he was, because I'll
Yeah.
explain. He was a dark mouth. He was wearing blackface. He was doing all this stuff, and he wasn't ridiculous. He was smart and he was sophisticated. And he's from a wealthy circle. He knew he couldn't make Dr. Seuss couldn't make the cat actual blackface character. He knew that. But when his book came out, there was this other book that came out, the study about how kids can't read. Kids can't read and blah blah blah. And then that same moment, Brown versus the Board of Education, and so it became black kids can't read, white teachers can't teach, and they did this whole disruption of education. And I know you might have experienced a little bit of it if you were in a black community where they were like trying to teach you stuff with rap music. We're gonna close the achievement gap and use rap music.
Girl, I got
Well,
so many jobs. I got so many jobs. I got so many jobs.
yeah, but Cat in the Hat, that's exactly what it was. It's like, we're gonna try and relate to these black kids using, but they didn't want to use, like I said, he was smart. No, he's not gonna use a complete blackface. He, at the time, because it's like the 60s, so he knows it's wrong, but yet
Yeah.
he's still doing it. And the thing is, you know how I knew he knew? Because the thing is that, number one, I'm a writer. So I knew that he had done that. Because right at the end, before he's about to die, he came up with this BS, this, what do you call it? He came up with this story behind the story. Oh, the reason I had Cat in the Hat was made for a black person, but she was a black woman and the elevator woman at the publisher that I was at. That's what he said. It was a black woman. Her happy face was the inspiration for the cat. And I said, that is BS. And it just came out right before he died. Because he freaking knew. He knew what he did, and he was using that as a cover. And people were like, that. And I said, you know what? I broke it down, like, the people, like, I wrote it. Like, I know now I sound like I'm insane, but.
Oh no, it doesn't sound insane. We were talking about this here. There's a book, Was the Cat in the Hat Black, right? We were talking about that book. When all the Dr. Seuss shit broke, I was breaking it down too. I was like, look at the gloves, look at the costume, compare this to what was going on in terms of what at the time was still vaudeville. And once they had gotten done with dragging slaves from plantation to plantation and then dragging them out for entertainment for the masses within the cities, right? Once that was done and white people had gotten a little taste of hearing the slaves and enslaved Africans singing songs on the free days, on Saturday night, on doing all the things, they knew that they was never going to be smooth. And it started early with like, all right, well, let's do blackface then, to the point where then black performers had to do blackface as well. And they all had the same costume. And I'll be damned if you look in the history books and it is not exactly the costume worn by the Cat in the Hat. 100%.
Exactly. Well,
To the gloves.
Even what episode? Even what episode? They had an episode where he had he was losing his ink, right? He was losing. Remember, he took that bath. I don't know if you remember. It's a cartoon. He took a bath.
Oh, you talking about the Cat in the
all...
Hat is back, or the Cat in the Hat and Friends, or something?
Yeah. And it was like pink stuff all over the bathtub.
Right.
And that was supposed to be him. That was because they used to make it like, they used to kind of like, oh, black people have ink, so if you wash them, ink will drip out, and that was kind of like a thing they would say. Yeah. But like I said, he was smart enough. He knew he couldn't go full out blackface with it, but he was doing all the tropes that you would use if it was a black person. And like I said, there was no reason for him to use that elevator woman at the very end, but he knew he was wrong. He knew he was wrong. They knew, and that's why they got rid of those other books. And it makes me mad because Penguin, the Penguin Random House owns this stuff. And they own a lot of these diverse books. And it's
Yeah.
like weird because people will ask me, well, what diverse books do you like? And the thing is, it's the same like middle class, like, look, black or Latino people, and look, they're just like white people. Like, oh, like, are we really still doing this? Are we really? And it's always your relationship to white people. Like,
Right.
oh, and it's it's really, I mean, I think like in my book, the parents are African and the dad is Chinese American. And I was trying to do that to, and this was before all this horrible things happened, but I was trying to do it to like kind of like show like solidarity, because also too like people of color solidarity. And I was, I also showed like older lesbians, because you never see like gay people get old. Like it's
Yeah.
like gay people are young forever. Well, actually, too, black people are young forever. You never see it. It's like this thing. Like I had them like with Black Power, like they have this, and they're like, you can see their Black Power is really cute. That's them in the '60s, and they're doing their Black Powers. I mean, I had little touches in the book, like, oh, okay, but I mean, it was me just kind of like challenging different norms, and and also too just not focusing on our relationship. But it's funny, I was like, we're not focusing our relationship to white people. But I was reading this book. I have a friend in Nigeria, and he's in a small rural town, and it was kind of funny because I felt silly in some ways, because I was like, and look, I made her have like short hair, proud, black woman. And all the little girls there had short hair, and they're like, yeah, so. I was like, kind of like, I'm making this book about being black, and it's like great. And they're just kind of like, we're already black and we're fine. But they were being really nice about it though.
Right.
But I like in my own head, I realized even in the book that I was trying to make about black, and it's a good book. I don't want to like bash my book, but as I was sitting there talking to these children in Nigeria that had not been infected with like white supremacy, I realized that even my book about it was supposed to be kind of not about whiteness was almost about whiteness, because of how I was kind of, I don't know, like I said, I don't want to bash my own book, but it's like I'm,
No, it's
as a
not
person
bashing your
that's in the
book.
US,
No, I
yeah,
mean
yeah,
that's
yeah, but
that's right. That's the double consciousness, which is truly a triple consciousness, right? That Du Bois
yeah,
had spoken about, and you're just speaking to that. I appreciate the
happy, but
vulnerability. Please keep
yeah,
talking. Keep saying.
yeah, because I'm, I always, and it was funny. I was telling them like, I'm from the U.S., so don't listen to anything I say. Like just take what you need, but you know that I'm brainwashed. You have to. It's so funny, and they're laughing, and I'm like, no, like be like, you gotta know I'm a dangerous person because I'm very appealing. I'm like, I'm very appealing. That's what the United States does. We come, we bring we bring fun books,
Yeah.
and we bring happy people, and you bring like, oh look, the cute author who's reading books from the United States, and she's laughing and happy, and that's appealing. And then people were like, and I'm like, take what you need from me, feel nothing about using me, but don't view me as anything more than um a toy. Don't view me that you, and it's like, if you want to discard me and you realize, I'm like, understand where you are right now is better than being here where I am right now. Not because here is bad, but because it's always good to be in a place where you are not the marginalized person.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? To grow up, no
Absolutely.
matter how, yeah, no matter how, and this may just be like my US thing talking, but no matter how maybe lack of material things you have, if you know who you are, you're still going to have an advantage over somebody who has a lot of things and is, you know, this, I mean, even like I said, one thing is even being on the East Coast, I feel more connected to blackness in a way than I did in Los Angeles.
Mm.
Um, it is really bizarre. I feel that um I think about I've always thought about blackness, but I think about it more on the East Coast than I did on the West Coast. And maybe because I'd been there, my family had been there so long, so there were a lot of things that didn't impact me the way they would maybe impact a person that moved there later on. Like everybody knew who I was.
Right, right.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, you get to get this advantage when everybody knows who you are. And another funny thing about LA is that like the neighborhoods we're from, all the black people are from Louisiana, right? Like everybody. Um, like at least my mom's side of the family, like everybody's gonna at least have somebody from Louisiana in their family. Like it's the black Louisiana community is very, and then we don't even think about it.
So was that
It's
the
so
transition during Reconstruction that folks have made that move during the migration? Then instead
yes,
of
yes, yes.
heading
We
north, they
came,
just went out west.
they went out west. My family came on the first migration to Los Angeles, the turn of the century.
What were the
Um,
jobs? What was popping that they were like, okay, we're going to Los Angeles?
Oh, it's kind of a horrible story. What happened? They were living in. This is a rumor, and I don't know if this is legit, but the rumor is they were in the Garden District, and I wrote about this in my story. In my book, I have a book called Queen of Inglewood, and in it, it was called Random Violence. And my family had been in the same house for many generations, the same house in the Garden District in the Garden District in Louisiana, which is like right next to the French Quarter. And so essentially they had two families. The person who was the owner had two families. The family from my mother's side and his family. And it was in some parts of Louisiana was kind of like this was an accepted thing. After the Emancipation Proclamation, it got weird. Like you can't have a black family and a white family. You can't do that. Apparently there was some kind of fight, and um, someone was killed. Anyway, my great 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 grandfather, after that fight, he came to LA and became a loan shark. And I said he called it a grantor of opportunities because he took some of the money from his father, masters, kind of very Chinatownish, and he started a business to help other people who are black start businesses. So
Mm.
my family was always kind of like this weird, like illegitimate family, like because it's like okay, L.A. W.E. Du Bois said in L.A. there's no one. The black people are so beautiful, and their houses are whatever. So it's like a lot of these educated, you know, kind of like yeah, educated upper middle class. But the thing is, middle class and black. That's very weird. It's kind of like you can be a porter and you'd be middle class. You can work for the post office and be middle class because
Yeah.
it's like you're
Yeah.
limited in what you could work in. Um, but everybody was very into being like legitimate people. But I always tell people, how do you think Central Avenue became Central Avenue? They weren't giving out art grants. What do you think was happening?
Look it.
like,
Look it.
it's kind of like when they had like prohibition and they had alcohol and all this stuff. And this is the Wild West. This is LA. You could do
Look.
whatever you wanted. One of the people like, oh, the first black billionaire, like Biddy Mason is in Los Angeles. Keep this in mind. She's the first self-woman millionaire, not just the first black millionaire. She's the first woman. And even like they talk about what do you call it, Paul Williams, the architect. They're like, he's the first black person on the LA planning board. I'm like, but he was on the first LA planning board. It's
See,
not like it's not like, oh, they didn't let you on it. They were on it. See, the thing is that prior to 1950 and Chief Parker, LA was quite different for black people. Now I'll say this, it was not the dream paradise for Mexicans and Chinese Americans. As you know, in 1871, the Chinese massacre, and just various things that happened. But if you were black, it was paradise before 1950. You go there, you could do whatever you wanted to do. You can buy a house, there were just the rules that were in different parts of the country weren't there. I'm not saying it was paradise. It was paradise if you were from Mississippi.
well, there were things until, right? I mean, I think that's one of the lessons of 2020 for white people was, hey, there were whole ass black cities, multiple, all across the United States. It wasn't just Tulsa. Black cities, because we have been here before enslavement. We're here now after enslavement. We had been watching how y'all did everything, and we were going to do it the same way. And we did. And it happened. And as soon as it popped off, then, see if this sounds familiar. As soon as we win, then somehow y'all find an emergency to create some new laws that absolutely decimate our humanity, hyper advantage white people through white affirmative action, which is always executed through the trilogy of buy it, kill it, rape it. And if you can't buy it, then you're gonna steal it, which means you're gonna have to kill and rape whoever's there. And I don't know why why white people. I do know. I don't know why I'm saying it. It is exhausting how repetitive, how expansive, how ever elastic whiteness is, that this continues to be the story of everything. That if once someone sees the unyielded success of the blacks, someone being a white someone, or it could be a black someone who tells on the black someone's to go tell a white someone and then fuck it all up that way too. So there's a couple of different ways. But where there are no longer black cities and towns, that's why you burned them down. You burned them down and chased them. It's pretty simple.
If you look here at my video, I don't know if you see my picture right here. This is from Lovecraft Country.
You heard about the controversy on Lovecraft, though?
What happened?
Yo, there was an extra in
Go ahead,
they blackfaced her. You heard? Girl, they blackfaced her.
Why? No, not necessary. I mean, black people look all different kind of ways, so it was not necessary. And also, too, we've all grown up with TV shows where it's like two brown-skinned parents and Lisa Bonet. And no one said anything, so why all of a sudden we need the consistency? We don't need the consistency. That was really...
that is horrifying and disappointing. And knowing who was in the room, knowing who was around, it's like, oh, see.
Well, that's why I haven't never really. I know the person who drew this. I know Afua who drew this. But I've never been involved in Hollywood, even though I lived in Los Angeles, because I always disgusted me because they do that kind of stuff
all the time.
They do it all the time, and it's disappointing. I think I could do more with the written word. in regards to, fiction. Um, but also too, you think about what they did, the source material of Lovecraft. I mean,
It's complicated. It's complex.
no,
Listen, it's
we're
almost
all
like being
here.
black in America or something. It's just, it's messy. It's beautiful. It's gross. Shouldn't happen that way. But right, we were just
Yeah.
discussing that very reality of them putting black people. Well, not of anybody know them, of us putting black folks in blackface, right? And so that they would think to do that for the purpose of their consistency. That is not inconsistent. The thing that horrifies me about the idea of Hollywood is just knowing how many times Courtney Vance, folks like this, had to be in a room full of people where somebody goes, no, like a real nigga. And they just have to like sit there and go, and then go
Yeah.
on with the day. This, no, baby, I could
No,
never.
yeah, yeah.
I could
Well, no,
never.
but
I
that,
could
even
never.
with publishing, I have the same problem. People kind of, one of the challenges is that, and I'm not like one of these. I'm not, as you call it. I'm not what some people call it, a pick me. But I noticed that if, I don't, in my book Queen of Inglewood, I spoke of, I went to a private girls' school in Hollywood, and the characters that were the worst characters were white men. And this was a problem for me getting published. If I had written all the bad people as black men, I would have gotten published a lot quicker. They really reward
If you had
that
written
kind of
all the
thing.
bad people as black men, you would have written The Color Purple, and you would have been published and gotten a Pulitzer and be in Oprah's book club.
I'm something bizarre about my bizarre theory. I've always
Is it
thought.
bizarre? I'm up. I'm ready for it,
Uh,
and something tells me it's
okay.
not that bizarre. Come, bring it, bring it,
Okay.
bring it.
Um, a lot in the 70s, a lot of the black African American women's literature was kind of cruel towards black men. And this is because I think a lot of these people had some challenges. I mean, I've had black men in my life, and they were not. They were not like. They're, of course, everybody's individual, but
Look
it
it,
was that
look
wasn't
it.
going on. But
Look at we are here for talking about the Sussets. I've walked black men out of the room on many occasion, many
yeah,
facilitation,
yeah,
and it
yeah.
is what it is. It is what it
It
is,
is what
Hunty.
it is. It is what it is. But I wonder the, you know, the kind of, in regards to like sometimes with hip hop, I wonder was that a response to some of that art that was happening at the time? Like, you know what I mean? Like, you know how somebody responds to something and it's kind of like, okay, I feel like in a way, like with like hip hop, it's very cruel towards black women. But in the same token, I feel that African American literature is very cruel towards black men. So it's like this weird kind of like, are we going to handle both these situations? Because you can't,
Yeah.
it's, I don't know, like, I actually haven't sitting down and written about it. I mean, the reason why I've never, outside of a black space, I've never really talked about my issues with certain parts of hip hop because I already know what people are gonna do with it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I already know.
Yeah,
If
yeah,
I
yeah,
want
yeah,
to
yeah,
write
yeah,
something,
yeah, yeah.
I already know what they're gonna do with it, and I don't want them to do that. I want to have a real conversation. And also, too, if I brought it, I would also talk about African American women's literature and that kind of like parallel. Like, can we talk about at the same time, like this kind of like this over like this caricature of both of the genders in both of those genres? And can we talk about that? And are these responding to each other? Because I always feel like in a way that one is responding to the other. I mean, I was very kind of like, I don't want, like I said, I don't want to say, I'm not going to say lucky. I feel like I grew up in a black neighborhood, like a 90% black neighborhood.
Yeah.
Like back when it was like, which is weird, which is kind of rare in LA because it's not that many of us. And I grew up with like there were some, there were some black guys that weren't cool, but it wasn't like, oh, more so than anybody
No,
else. You know what I mean?
no,
It
yeah,
wasn't
no. It's a
more
matter of
so than everybody
proximity.
else.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. And even like, especially like, you know, um middle class black guys are really nice. Especially in comparison to white. Not like as a black woman, I don't know. Like maybe they're treating their women nicer, but with my experience when I was in private school and I was dealing with certain white men, it
right.
was not necessarily a pleasant experience being like objectified and all this kind of stuff. But when I was dealing with and work, with black guys, they were really nice. I mean, my whole thing was almost like they're almost too nice. Like I want excitement. It's like, they're like, I don't want to go to jail. Like, why not? We won't go to jail. Don't worry. So it's like
Right.
I'm always kind of like in this weird situation because now I feel bad. Like now as an adult, I feel bad because I realize like, I realize like that clean cut, like, black young man from Loyola, he just didn't want to go to jail. Like he was just like, let's just, go to Olive Garden and go
Right.
to the movies and go home.
And not get
I
shot
don't
by the
want
cops.
drama.
How about that? How about
Yeah.
let's not get shot?
Yeah,
That'd be
but you
good.
don't. But the thing is, you don't think about that as a,
Yeah.
and because and that's another thing too. I always try to talk about. I said, really, we really shouldn't. There are different. We call it. We're in different places in oppression. And when people try to say, "Oh, black women get shot as often or got lynched too," that's true. But it also starts to erase what really happens to us, where we get accused of being prostitutes. I mean, that's something that happens. That's something the cops really do. I'm not saying that
Right.
cops don't try to kill black women, but I'm saying there's something that does happen that we don't talk about. Is the fact that the police, if you're a black woman and you go outside and you don't have a car and you are not dressed in a uniform, which means you don't have a three-piece suit on, or you're not having a security uniform, they think you're a sex worker.
Yeah.
And it doesn't really matter. Does it matter? I mean, and that's kind of like, and that's to talk about Atlanta. I said, and and I know for people of color, this is really sensitive. I'm like, it doesn't really matter if they were sex workers. If you're a woman of color and you are outside,
Yeah.
you are a sex worker. This is how the police view you. And
Well,
that's
they
something
they
that I
view
think
you
people
as
just
this because they contribute so heavily to the cause.
yeah.
The fact that there are 200,000 missing black girls, right? They're not missing. They
Yeah.
were confiscated. They were confiscated many times by pimps who are not involved with law enforcement, but many of them are. Many, many, many of them are pimps. Many cops are pimps. The missing black girls aren't missing, and we don't hear enough about it, right? And so there certainly is a
Yeah.
parallel. And that parallel that you were talking about in literature as well. Yes, absolutely. The conversation is one that I think there is a clear dialogue that is elevated, right, to the zeitgeist, if
Yeah.
you will, of bougie ass middle class people like us, and and I wonder about I agree with everything you pointed out. What it makes me wonder about is and come back to is who is publishing this material, right? Who is publishing and who is purchasing? Because you cannot have a best-selling novel in the United States without white people buying that. That's not going to happen. You must have numbers, and the numbers of people
Yeah.
in the United States are white. You are not going to have the number one album in the United States if little white teenagers are not buying it. That's not going to happen. It's not going to happen, right? And so given that, and we don't control the publishing houses. So given that, yes, yes, and I want to keep swimming upstream and find out, well, who is it? Who are the puppeteers who are actually deciding that these are the books that are being elevated this way? That these are the rappers, these are the MCs, these are the musicians, these are the whoever that are being elevated this way, right? And it starts bleeding into the clear channel of it all, and it starts getting very messy. And yes, we do need to have the talk ourselves as well. But do you know what I mean? It's like, yeah, it's us, but also, yeah, like you said, it's the thing about jobs, right? Jobs, if we really break it down, and I hear what you're saying because I don't have one, I'm not good at them, is that it's wage slavery, right? It is wage slavery for the system of white supremacist capitalist patriarchy. And if you have on the uniform, then you get to be safe. Ask Lonnie Guinier. Do you know what I mean? Safe.
Yeah.
So white supremacy is the idea. I love the idea and the awareness of knowing that writing a book for black children, again, brown children, BIPOC children who are swimming in this cesspool of white supremacy, once elevated out of the United States, seems to be, for certain audiences, a matter of curiosity, because what it does is to elevate and emphasize the reality that the greatest export from the United States ever has been white supremacy. And even that is dope. I have a question for you from viewers joined late. Where should we buy your books? Do you have a favorite indie bookstore in Los Angeles?
I'm gonna have to say S1, but you're not gonna be able to find the book there. You could buy it from Sanctuary Publishers. I'm sorry. Let me make sure. Sanctuary Publishers. And I know the reason I have to be careful with that because it's a different publisher that's very similar to it, and it takes you to a very different site. But so go to Sanctuary Publishers. Don't go to the other one.
Sanctuary Publishers with an S. Publisher. I don't know if there's one with just without the S, but if you don't got the S on the chest, you ain't gonna find the book.
Yes.
Publishers.
You can also get it at Barnes and Noble, but I mean, I know if you want to buy it at a smaller. I mean, the thing is that the COVID came out, and that kind of like.
Can we order it to indie bookstores to crank up the?
Yeah, you definitely could. You could order from those indie bookstores and request it. Excellent.
And Kristen says she is scared of these Sanctuary Publishers without the S. That is not a thing she is interested in finding out about. Hey, listen, I promised you we were going to do an hour. We have done an hour, but before we go, can you share with us one thing that all children must know, so that we get a little? Is there a little tasty taste you can share with us?
Yeah, I mean, the thing I think the children should know is that there's always more to learn. That's kind of like, that was the end of the book. It says, where is it at? This is just a list of some of the things you should know. As you grow, you'll see that your list will grow too. There is always more for a child and a grown-up to know and learn. So that's Mom and
Absolutely beautiful. And are you the illustrator as well? Who's the illustrator?
I'm not the illustrator. Danae is the illustrator. And I always acknowledge her. Danae Silva Montiel is the illustrator. Like all my website stuff, I always bring her name up. Like, it's Danae. And the thing is that she's really cool. She's in Mexico City. And I mean, I love the fact that this book is kind of like international. My publisher was in Switzerland when she first started doing the book.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so now that the my and the thing is, I knew my illustrator before. I knew her work before this book, so I was so
Yeah.
happy to get her for the book. Um, and yeah, so I'm hoping I can get my other. I have another book coming out, children's book, and it's about a revolution. We'll see who publishes that.
Ooh, that's exciting. That's exciting. We're gonna have to have you back. We are absolutely gonna have to have you back when that comes out. Thank
Yeah,
you
definitely.
so much for spending some time beneath the philosopher's tree with us today. Socials. Do you have socials? Where can people find you? Where can the people reach you?
Twitter, will start small. And then also on Facebook, we'll start small. And also I have a website, we'll start small. And you should be able to see it. It's it's supposed to be, my thing was the revolution will start small. So that's why it's will start small. But making sure it's .com. I know. So how can I not know my own website? I told you I
Listen,
have
listen,
problems.
listen, listen. Every time I get asked that at the end of one of a podcast that's not my own, I have to start pulling out my phone and looking it up. Like, I don't know what my Twitter is. Why would I know that? What kind of
Yeah,
maniac am
yeah.
I? I'm not young. I just look cool. Well, thank you so much for being here, Lark. Oh, and it looks like you have a fan. Kristen in the chats, and you will see on the replay screams, I'll publish it. So I don't know. You may end up expecting shout in your DMs. I don't know. We'll see how that
Okay.
goes. Hey,
Okay.
everybody, give it up for our new friend, Lark Song. Thank you so much, and best of luck with the book. And we are so excited for you. We are so excited for you. That's Lark.
Thank you.
This is
Okay.
fun. This is what we do, right?
Okay.
Um, Lark. Now we're at another weird part because now I'm the show again, and Lark. I'm looking at Lark in the corner of my eye next to Joshua, and no, you can still talk. I don't care. I don't give a shit. This is the part. This is the
Okay.
after show. Um, thank you so much for being here. That was really a great conversation. We went a little bit over today, but we also started a little bit late today. Thank you to all the folks who were here. Well, and which, as we said, West Coast, we don't adhere to white man's time. That's just not how it is here. We started white man's time, and yet we don't adhere to it. Go figure. I don't know. I don't know. I'm gonna say this. Bravo to it's buttery. It's rich in the mouth, and it tastes like coffee. So yay to it's a little bit of what is it, like a tablespoon of coconut, a tablespoon of ghee, a splash of a cream. I did allow myself actual animal cream in this one because they said do it, because if you're getting a headache, because do it. So I did that, and then a splash of vanilla, and I put it in the blender. And on the soup setting, if you got one of those good blenders, if you don't, this is probably not a thing you want to have at home. It's probably going to be gross. I don't know what to tell you about that. We don't have any other stuff closing. I don't know. This is the part where producer Tracy would normally be here and start putting up like things for you to look at. She's on the road right now, so she's literally in a car, not here with us watching today, so she can't. And I'm dumb, so I'm not gonna do that. I will just show you the pictures. Here's a picture. That's a picture of my album. It's Wallace. We're Wallace. We're that band. And We Ride is the name of that album. And you can get that at Bandcamp. And if you really give a shit, then go to a different episode and you'll see the link. Tracy puts it in the chats and I put it on the screen. I don't know where it is. I don't know where anything is. This is dumb. Okay. Hey, this has been another Smoke and Mirrors. Thank you so much for being here today. Do you want to keep up with us on the IG? You can do that at Smoke and Mirrors, CCB. That is for the comedy, the culture, and the blackness. If you'd like to find me and my dumb words, void of my face and my voice, you can do it at Twitter at Caballo Negrito. Twitter at Caballo Negrito. For our monolingual viewers, Caballo Negrito means white people need to learn a lot more than do black folks. Caballo Negrito, literal translation, white people need to learn a lot more than do black folks. If you have a question, a comment, or a thought about another guest we might want to have on the show and under the Philosopher's Tree, you can give us a shout out at Smoke and Mirrors CCB. That is the comedy, the culture, and the blackness. One more time, Smoke and Mirrors CCB at gmail.com. This is an event that is produced by the one and only Tracy Tatamy. This is also produced and hosted by myself, Carlos Kareem Wyndham. Thank you so much for being here. Would you please take care of yourself, take care of each other when you go outside? Wear 2 masks. Motherfuckers, look, it is not... Hold on, I'm coming back. Listen, it's not fucking over. Stop it. Stop it. Put your mask on. This shit, this thing you're doing, I see you all where you're doing this and walking down the street like this shit, and then when you think someone sees you, or someone comes around the corner or out of the coffee shop and goes, oh. That doesn't count. And yes, it was me coming out of the coffee shop. You asshole. Be a little bit considerate. Take care of yourself. Whoops, that's not even the right screen. Sorry about that. Take care of yourself. Take care of each other. Take care of your loved ones. Wear 2 masks outside. Please go ahead and get the vaccine when you're able. Why? Because we love you and we'd like to see you back here when we are back next on Tuesday of the next one. We will be here. No, wait. Today's Tuesday. We'll be here Thursday. I know what's going on. You're high. Shut up. Okay, that was the show. All right. We'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.